Yeah, what's up, YouTube? So it's been a little while. I've been on hiatus here. I apologize for my break to all my subscribers. Um, I just been really busy with school. I've been taking my last class in computer science. Been taking a calculus course, and it's been taking up all of my time. So I haven't had any time to do a video for a while. But I just had to get this video out there. I just watched UFC 117 last night. Right now it's Sunday morning at about 8 o'clock. I'm just starting work right now. I actually work right here on my computer, if you didn't know. So I fix computers over the internet for a company. I'm not going to tell you who, but if you watch some of my other videos, I think I do say it. But anyway, not important. Yeah, so I'm going to give my review of UFC 117. So it was a great night of fights. An absolutely stacked card. Better than most of the UFCs we watch. Usually on a UFC card, we're lucky to get two or three big fights, but on this one we really had four big fights. We had Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva, of course. We had Junior Dos Santos versus Roy Nelson, which was to me the next biggest fight. Then we had John Fitch versus Thiago Alves, and the Matt Hughes versus Ricardo Almeida fight. Now that's at least it's a big name. Matt Hughes is not a big fighter anymore, but he does still have a big name. But anyway, so back down to or right down to the review. We started off with Roy Nelson versus Junior Dos Santos, which is one of the fights that I was the most excited to see, and it went pretty much the way I thought it was going to, except I assumed that Junior Dos Santos would have been able to catch Roy Nelson and actually knock him out, and it didn't happen. Instead, what you saw was Junior Dos Santos laying the smackdown on Roy Nelson for 3 rounds, and Roy was landing some pretty good shots too, back and forth with Junior. But Junior's boxing is amazing. His kickboxing is awesome. So he was landing some great shots, but Roy just refused to go down, man. These days in UFC, these fighters, it seems like they want it so bad that they just refuse to go down. If you look at the Brock Lesnar fight against Shane Carwin, now this fight, and even later on with the Anderson Silva fight, the fighters just, there's no quitting them anymore. You know, they've got a ton of big reason for that must be those win bonuses that they've got going on and that kind of stuff with the money, which is good. Anyway, moving on to the Matt Hughes versus Ricardo Almeida fight. This wasn't really much of a fight. Matt Hughes has looked really good lately, like really good, way better than anybody would have thought he has. I mean, these last 3 fights he has fought, you know, I won't say cans. Ricardo Almeida is not a can, but um, Enzo Gracie definitely is not really a UFC fighter. I mean, you know, he stepped in for that fight and he has not had another fight, and he probably won't, unless I'm mistaken, but I don't think he will. So yeah, he's definitely a can. Matt Serra is a good fighter though, and Matt Hughes was able to win that fight as well. So Matt Hughes is doing pretty good, especially for his age. I mean, you know, to remain in the top 10 at his age and after the amount of fights that he's had in the UFC is pretty good. You know, I don't think most fighters after they've been in the UFC for that long are going to be able to hang on and stay with and stay in the top 10. But I think that Matt Hughes, this puts him back in the top 10. If he can win another, I'd say maybe 2 fights if he wants to. He said in the fall he's going to go hunting or whatever. That's what Joe Rogan said. So, you know, I mean, he's accomplished so much at this point. Who really cares what he does? I don't think that Matt Hughes has the capacity to beat someone like George St. Pierre again. I don't think it's going to happen this time, and I don't think he can. Matt Hughes is going to be able to beat John Fitch or Josh Koscheck. Now, he may beat some of the other guys who are in the top 10, but I don't think he's going to beat any of them at this point. Anyway, moving on to the next fight with Clay Guida and Rafael dos Anjos. It was a pretty good fight. They were really going at it pretty good, and looks like Clay Guida broke his jaw in the first round with a pretty heavy punch, and then in the last round he was just doing what a lot of fighters like to do when they get a guy down in the guy's mount. They just kind of lean on him and just put the elbow on their throat region to try to break up their breathing and that kind of stuff, and just to be an asshole kind of too, right? Because you have someone big like that put most of his upper body weight on his elbow, which is resting on your throat, on your chin, and that can be pretty effective in pissing guys off on the bottom and wanting to scramble and do things like that and make mistakes. So not much to say there. It was a pretty good fight, and broken jaw. We're seeing a lot of injuries right now in modern MMA. Jeez, man, these guys train so hard, and they go at it so hard during the fights. There's just so many injuries right now. Moving on to John Fitch versus Thiago Alves. This was, I think what most people expected. Thiago Alves has been off for over a year. I didn't really see, Thiago Alves' game, it doesn't really match up very well against John Fitch's. I mean, when you take a striker like Thiago Alves, we're going to get more to this later, and you take a grappler like John Fitch or, Chael Sonnen, it doesn't really match up well for the striker, because most of the time you find that when they get close, the grappler takes them down, and that's what happens. Anyway, moving on to the main event, that I'm sure people are going to be talking about for a long time, is Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to do the next part of the video on just that fight, because there's a lot of things I want to say about that.